I do not usually share personal stories like this, but I feel compelled to tell you what happened to me last week. My name is Alina West. I am 34 years old, and I live in Brooklyn, New York. I am the CEO of a company that many would recognize, a company that has grown immensely, earning me a reputation as a tough businesswoman with an unyielding dedication to climbing the ladder of success. I often wear sharp suits and carry the weight of endless meetings, projections, and corporate strategies. To the world, it might seem that I have it all, but there is so much more beneath the surface. The truth is that much of what I projected was a polished exterior hiding a turbulent past, one that I had buried deep beneath the guise of my success. Life sometimes throws you curveballs, or in my case, it slams you with moments that bring the past rushing back in the most unexpected ways. It was just another Tuesday, a regular day filled with reports and numbers. I rushed out of an important meeting near Lexington Avenue, juggling a phone call with my assistant. My mind was racing through quarterly projections and team performance. I was so entrenched in the enormity of my world that I failed to notice I had dropped my wallet, left carelessly behind in the quest to keep up with my responsibilities. I was lost in thoughts of future promotions and what I would eat for dinner when a small voice caught me off guard. I turned around to see a little girl, probably no older than 9 years, standing there with an expression that struck me. She had a dirty face, her clothes were tattered, and her eyes radiated a maturity that far surpassed her years. Holding my wallet, she said, "Excuse me, sir, I think you dropped this." I took my wallet from her small hands. It was open and everything was surprisingly intact, cash, cards, even the folded receipt from my lunch earlier. I instinctively reached for some cash, wanting to offer her a couple of $100 bills. After all, it was clear that she needed it more than I did. I thought I was doing something generous, but she shook her head. "I do not want money," she replied quietly. "I just wanted to ask, do you know if there is a way I can go to school? Like any school, even an old one. I just want to learn." That simple request stopped me in my tracks. My heart sank as I realized this little girl had gone 2 days without eating. I learned that later, piecing together her story. At that moment, though, she did not mention her hunger or her needs for shelter or warmth. All she wanted was to learn. Standing there, in the midst of a bustling city with people rushing past us, I suddenly found myself overwhelmed with emotion. My eyes filled with tears almost against my will. I was not just crying because of her plight. I was crying because she evoked memories within me, memories I had tried so hard to suppress. I had been that child once, lost in a world where opportunities felt as far away as the stars. Memories flooded back, the moments of hunger, the desperate desire to escape unrelenting circumstances through education. I could see myself in this little girl, and for the first time in years, the walls I had built around my heart came crumbling down. After a moment of silence that felt much longer than it was, I told her I would help her find a way to school. I promised her that we would figure this out together. The expression on her face when I said that was one I would never forget. Hope. With a final wave goodbye to the little girl, I walked away from that encounter, changed. I had a new mission, because now it was about more than just me, and my life seemed suddenly much smaller in comparison to her need. Yet, as determined as I was, the reality of my situation came crashing back at me. Life in the fast lane does not pause for personal breakthroughs or feelings. I also knew that helping her would not be easy and that obstacles would present challenge after challenge. My world, filled with business dinners and corporate strategy, was not equipped for this. I thought my instant drive to help would fix everything, but I soon realized the impact of my past could be at odds with my present. Diving into the search for educational opportunities for her felt like trying to conquer an unwinnable battle. Schools were selective, resources scarce, and I was just one person losing myself in paperwork and meetings, trying to understand how I might help someone who truly needed it. I reached out to organizations that promised to help underprivileged youth gain educational access. They listened patiently, but the procedure felt agonizingly slow. Days turned into weeks, and every time I made headway, another obstacle would arise. Perhaps it was because I spoke their language of business, but lacked the ability to truly penetrate the educational bureaucracies. I must say, I grew frustrated and began to question if I truly could make a difference. I remember one dreary afternoon where I sat in my office, my head buried in paperwork and my heart perpetually heavy from stress and self-doubt. There was an email from a local charity organization I had reached out to, but instead of the resources I desperately hoped for, they had sent me a decline for her application. It felt as if a door had slammed shut in my face, mocking my efforts. It was an incredibly low moment for me. I had promised this child I would help her, yet here I was, feeling as though I had barely scratched the surface. The stakes only seemed to grow higher as her need for assistance weighed on me heavily. What have I done? What am I going to do? I could not help but ask myself in despair. In the days that followed, I made repeated attempts to apply for scholarships and programs, but I felt like I was running in circles, with no real progression. And to make things worse, every time I tried to follow up with the little girl again, I had failed to find her. It dawned on me that in my focus to help, I might have lost the very connection that had initially ignited my drive. Was her light of hope dwindling? The guilt compounded, and it kept me awake at night pondering how I would explain my failures to her, should I ever see her again. I felt like I had let her down, like I could no longer go back to the little girl with the dirty face who believed in the promise of education. Each day grew heavier, laden with the weight of broken promises and unfulfilled ambitions. Ironically, I had experienced all of this while also leading a company that thrived on accomplishing and pushing forward with ambitious targets. I was supposed to be a leader, someone who could create transformations. The stark contrast left me feeling lost and powerless. My success at work turned into an empty echo of a triumph layered in guilt. By the time I finally found her again, it was too late. I had just wrapped up a critical meeting, and I remember exiting the building, feeling drained and hopeless. There she was, sitting on the same corner where I first met her. I froze for a moment, still gripped by the weight of my failures. But she saw me too. Her eyes lit up with recognition, those little feet barely keeping her body steady as she sprung up. However, beneath the surface of her excitement was something dark, something that troubled me deeply. I ran to her, my heart racing. Yet when I reached her, I was shocked to see her condition was worse than before. Her clothes appeared even more worn and her smile seemed forced. "I have been waiting for you," she said softly, but it felt more like a plea. "I thought you would help." I felt my insides quench at her sadness. "I am so sorry," I stammered, my voice breaking. "I tried so hard to find a way." Her expression shifted, a mixture of disappointment and confusion swirling in her eyes. "Why did you forget about me?" she asked. "I did not forget you," I rushed to respond, but the words felt hollow, and I could see the disbelief etched across her young face. I explained everything that had transpired since the last time we spoke, but the weight of my excuses felt like a shaky house of cards, just waiting to collapse. While I was caught up in the world of boardrooms and high stakes, she was still living on the edge of survival, and I could no longer pretend that I could understand her plight. The more I spoke, the more I realized that she did not want to hear my explanations. Instead, she just wanted the one thing I had failed to deliver, what I had promised. "I just wanted to learn," she whispered, and those words cut deeper than any blade could. Eventually, I scrambled to collect myself, to seek that moment of inspiration once again, trying to convince her that hope was still alive. However, I could see that my words were muffled by the sheer weight of what I had failed to do, what I could not provide for her. But I had to dig deep within myself. Above all, I did not want her to see me as weak. In a moment of resolve, I took a breath and spoke with sincerity from the heart. "I might have failed in what you needed before, but I want to try again. I will find a way for you to go to school." She watched me intently, searching my eyes for truth. It was not just about me anymore. It was a matter of proving that hope could still spring forth from ashes. And just like that, something changed inside me, igniting a fire that I had buried beneath countless obligations for far too long. It would take every ounce of my determination to turn things around and reclaim my promise. After that day, my life shifted gear. I contacted every possible channel, reached out to old contacts, and networked relentlessly within the realms of education advocacy and charities. Day by day, I immersed myself in this mission, pouring my entire energy into securing that precious opportunity for the little girl who had inspired me in ways she would never understand. I faced rejection after rejection, but refused to wallow in despair. Every no turned into motivation, fueling some newfound tenacity within me. Soon, I formulated a strategy, and I would not stop until I found the right avenue to make a difference. Then, finally one day, something incredible happened. A prominent educational foundation I had contacted responded positively, excited about a potential partnership involving underprivileged youth and community education programs. I could hardly believe it. It felt like I had found a distant star shining through the fog of doubt. I pooled all my resources, and together, we established a scholarship for children in need. kids like the one I had met not so long ago. Along with the first scholarship, I arranged for tutoring sessions, mentorship, and supplies, everything this little girl could need for a successful pathway through her education. My heart raced at the thought of finally fulfilling my promise. However, discovering her once again was not as seamless as I had hoped. I searched tirelessly, traveling through neighborhoods, asking anyone who might know of a girl fitting her description. Just when I was ready to accept failure for the second time, a kind stranger in a local cafe recognized her, the same dirty face but now with a hint of determination sparkling in her eyes. They directed me to a community shelter where she was safe, and when I arrived, it felt as though I was stepping into a new reality. When I saw her there, waiting, excited but also guarded, I approached her cautiously. "I have something important to tell you," I revealed, hardly able to contain my joy. Her eyes widened, curious yet reluctant. I shared the success of everything I had fought for in her honor, the foundation willing to help, the scholarship that would open a door for her future. Her soft gasps filled the air, yet it took a moment for the words to sink in. "You mean school?" she finally asked, disbelief lacing her tone. Yes, you are going to go to school," I assured her, tears gathering at the corners of my eyes. Her small face started to break into a smile, but then faltered, a flicker of caution settling in. I knelt down to meet her eye level, reaching for her tiny hands. "You deserve this. I promise I will not let you down again." The trust restored between us felt electric, and a golden moment passed with silence while I knew we were at a shared turning point. That day marked a new chapter, both for her and for me. Days turned into weeks, and soon enough, she enrolled in classes, excitement radiating like sunshine. As for me, I discovered that immersing myself in a purpose grander than daily activities filled my heart with more fulfillment than I had ever experienced before. I often visited her at school, forming a friendship that ran deeper than the simple bond of two individuals. It was a connection forged from hope against the backdrop of struggles. Working through the challenges was not just about education. We grew together, learning from one another. Her enthusiasm reminded me of the child I once was and equipped me to become a better leader, a better person. However, life has a way of throwing unexpected twists at you. A month into her education, I learned she had a complex family situation. Her homelessness was merely one layer of her struggles. But everything I had built alongside her became a lifeline, pulling her out of darkness into the light of opportunity. I reached out to more local resources, finding solutions for the challenges ahead. Each small victory felt monumental, her resilience inspiring me to fight even harder. As school days continued, she blossomed, diving deeply into her studies, and my dedication began rippling through the community, setting an example that led me to derive strength from an experience I never expected. Educating and empowering other children in similar situations became my new cause, each story weaving back into mine, subtly turning revenge into redemption. I channeled my past into projects aiming to uplift kids, advocating for education systems that often overlooked the most vulnerable. The very company I had built started to champion these new initiatives, uniting my business acumen with a heart of gold. Suddenly, the success I chased for so long surfaced in ways I could not have imagined. My true growth emerged not from the stock market nor performance reports, but through every child's laughter and potential I encountered. I crafted an entire foundation around these opportunities, and throughout this journey, the hidden shadows from my past no longer felt heavy. In the end, it became clear to me, helping that little girl was not just about giving back. It was a fight against the demons of my past, a journey toward healing that led me exactly where I belonged. The cycle of conflict morphed into a simple truth. To find joy, you must give joy, something I once had, buried under layers of success and speed. As far as revenge goes, I realized that the greatest form came not through personal gain, but through the power of transforming lives, including my own. With every step we took together, I had ultimately turned the darkness into light, unlocking potential that once felt out of reach. Empowering her became a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, something I had longed that I had abandoned in the pursuit of corporate victories. But now, I knew, our stories would forever remain intertwined, illuminating a path of hope and opportunity, one where every little girl deserves the chance to learn. This was the legacy that I sought, a new beginning woven from the threads of connection, redemption, and the promise that no child would be abandoned again.